What's going on, sports fans? Today we're going to be reviewing, or actually previewing, the MLB playoff projection postseason picture right here. Let's start off in the American League where Cleveland, Boston, and Houston have all clinched playoff berths already. Um, of those three teams, I do believe that Cleveland is the best. They have the experience. They've been there. They just had a miraculous run right here. 9-1 over their last 10, and they won 5 in a row. They look like the best team in the AL here. At the beginning of the season, I did think Boston would be the best team, especially adding Chris Sale, having David Price, but they have the third best record in the AL. New York, the Yankees, who are 8-2 over their last 10, are kind of gaining on them a little bit. They're about 3 games back. Boston has been playing well as well over their last 10, 7-3 here. These two teams do not face each other at the end of the season, which is amazing. But both of these teams look like they will both make the playoffs, as New York has a 6.5 lead over Minnesota for the top 2 playoff spot, and almost a 9.5 game lead over the Angels, who are in the third wild card spot, trailing Minnesota by 2.5. Texas is still in it, down 2.5. Kansas City's technically still alive. Seattle's technically still alive. Tampa Bay is technically still alive. I do believe Tampa Bay has 3 against the Yankees, so they might be able to catch them. But the Yankees are playing good ball right now. The surprise team out of these is Minnesota and the Angels. I think those two teams are surprises right here. I thought Texas would play better. They have one of the better offenses, but they just strike out a lot. The 2 wild card teams I think are still going to be the Yankees, and I believe Minnesota. Minnesota has surprised a lot of people this year, myself included. They're 79-74, 2.5 up on the Angels. They've won 1 in a row, but they've been 5-5 over their last 10. I think that they could give the Yankees a show in that wild card matchup. I don't see the Yankees catching Boston. I think Cleveland will finish with the best record in the AL. They could challenge the Dodgers. They're only a game back up the Dodgers for the best record in Major League. So they're one of the hottest teams in baseball. I think one of the biggest questions was, are they peaking too soon? I don't think so. I think they have the success to do it. They have one of the best lineups in the league. A team that's not very much talked about is the Astros. They're coming from a weak division. You can make the excuse that Cleveland is in a weak division too, but I think the AL West is a little bit less strong, even though all of their teams are pretty much still in wild card position here. The Astros aren't very much talked about. They did add Verlander at the deadline. I think it was a great move, especially to go with Keuchel. But I think they're just too young. Even just adding Verlander, I think they're too young of a team to give anybody a run. Obviously, it looks like right now they play Boston, and I take Boston in a 5-game series because you're gonna have to face Chris Sale twice. David Price is now coming out of the pen, so that's a huge matchup. If he can go out there and give you 2 or 3 innings of relief in a 5-game series, he can do it probably all 5 games maybe. I think Cleveland would beat the winner of the wild card game, and I think the winner of the wild card game is going to be Yankees. I think those are the 4 best teams in the American League: Cleveland, Houston, Boston, and Yankees. So we'll see. I mean, there's a week left. Postseason starts on October 3rd. Pretty excited for that. That'll be fun. Now jumping to the NL here, the Dodgers can clinch the division tonight with a win or a Diamondbacks loss. The Cubs haven't clinched the division yet, but they have about a 4-game lead on Milwaukee and a 5-game lead, or 5.5-game lead on on St. Louis. So that division is still up for grabs. I'm thinking that Arizona is still going to clinch the division. I mean, not the division, the wild card. Colorado's only a game up on Milwaukee and a game and a half up on St. Louis. If a team lets St. Louis creep in there, St. Louis is a very experienced team, and in a 1-game playoff, you'll see Carlos Martinez, and that's one of the best young pitchers in the league, and I think St. Louis could pull it off. Arizona's going to have to burn Greinke in the wild card game, and the winner of that wild card game is going to take on the Dodgers, a team that's really slowed down and gotten really cold. They're 97-56. I know it's just like, how are they cold? I mean, they were 51-9 in the middle of the summer. over 60 games, which is amazing. But I think they're about 6-19 over their last 25. So, not playing too well. But I think in the playoffs, it's a whole different ball game. The Dodgers have one of the most dominant starting staffs. I think you'll see Kershaw game 1, Darvish game 2, and Alex Wood game 3. And you hand it back to Kershaw for game 4 and Darvish for game 5. So either way, they give you matchup problems. I know Kershaw has had postseason struggles, but last year he played really well. If you can just get to the 9th with the lead, Kenley Jansen's going to shut it down. One of their biggest issues has been their offense, though. So offense goes hand in hand with pitching, and that you need to score runs to protect your lead. Washington has clinched their division. The NL East is probably the weakest division in all of baseball. I don't really know what to say about Washington. I think that they could lose to the Cubs. I think they could lose to Milwaukee, and I think they could lose to St. Louis if any of those other teams made it to the postseason. Washington does have a great staff with Scherzer, Strasburg, probably some Gio Gonzalez in there. Just having to face Scherzer in a game 1 puts you in a hole already. I think he's one of the best pitchers in the league. But I do think Arizona will go ahead and win the wild card game anyway. No matter who they play, because you're going to have to face Greinke. Greinke's a tough pitcher, especially in a home game. But I think Colorado could lose that. I think they're just too young. They're not able to handle the full grind with their young pitching staff. I think St. Louis will get in there, and they're going to face Arizona. That's going to be a great game to watch. So that'll be good to watch. Meaning that Arizona would probably play the Dodgers. Now, the Arizona, I think, won the season series. Arizona does present a potential tough matchup for the Dodgers, even though Zach Greinke will have been burnt. They'll face Robbie Ray. Kershaw, advantage Dodgers, though. I think the Dodgers will go ahead and will win their series in 4 games, because you'd have to face Kershaw in game 4. And I think if Washington does face Chicago, I think Washington could have an advantage just with their lineup. Chicago has been all over the place this season, but they've been really great in the second half. They're looking like them old selves. That's going to be a fun matchup. I think that series would go a whole 5 games. But that's just a quick preview of what we're looking at in the divisional round, wild card round. Let me know your guys' thoughts. And that's going to wrap it up here. I'm out. Thanks.